people making Monaco take the mic. I'm Nancy Heslin, and welcome to Monaco Info, the podcast. Our guest today left his family in native Germany at 16 to pursue surfing in Hawaii. He became the first European to win the World Surf League's Big Wave Award, and in 2020 broke the Guinness World Record for surfing a wave the height of an 8-story building. The Wave Explorer developed the technology that measured the largest breaking wave ever scientifically recorded and continues to push for advanced safety in big wave surfing. His story is now playing on the big screen in theaters, and he's about to launch a new foundation about waves, water, and the planet. You may see him surfing in front of the Yacht Club on his foil board. Meet Monaco resident Sebastian Steudtner. Welcome to Monaco Info, the podcast, Sebastian.
Thanks for having me.
I am crazy giddy that you are here. I have so many questions. But you've just come back from surfing, especially to do the podcast. You were in Nazaré?
Yeah, we had a few very good days. Perfect surf. And
what does that mean, a few very good days for you?
We had no wind, which was very unusual for this past season. We had about maybe 10-meter waves and very good swell direction, so waves direction, and yeah, a lot of fun.
And not a lot of people?
No, almost
in the water.
Yeah, it was very empty because we had the state of emergency after the big storms, and we couldn't surf, so most of the people left.
Can you tell listeners or describe what makes the Nazaré Canyon in Portugal so unique for big wave surfers?
Yeah, the easiest way to describe it is if you imagine if you have a still lake and you throw a stone into it, where that stone lands, there are water ripples that move away from it, and that's called a swell in the ocean. So a big storm creates that swell, and that swell travels until it gets to a more shallow part, either of the ocean or to the shoreline. And then because it travels with speed, it folds over and it creates a wave. And the difference to to pretty much every other big wave spot and Nazaré has an underwater canyon, which is about the dimensions of the Grand Canyon in America.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's giant. I think its deepest spot is 2,500 meters deep, and it goes hundreds of kilometers. And so the part of that swell is getting stuck in the canyon and is getting redirected. And then the normal swell keeps traveling, and that redirected swell is joining with the normal swell in front of the lighthouse or in front of Nazaré Beach.
The lighthouse.
Yeah. And that's why a 3-meter swell will be amplified, because the 3-meter swells join each other and then they become 6 or 9 meters.
It's weird because I don't surf. I do swimming, I do rowing, but I don't surf. And I'm obsessed with the lighthouse in Nazaré. There's so many outstanding videos of these surfers that we see and the people just watching, which looks like the waves are going to come crashing onto the lighthouse. And you in particular, I saw a video of you in 2020 catching this wave, this tiny little speck that we could see on a video screen. And I just couldn't believe it when they said, he just broke the world record. And when you go to Nazaré every time, does that moment come back to you, the day that you rode the 86-foot wave?
I've had more intense moments. There was a wave in 2018, which probably is my most memorable wave.
Because
it was a larger wave than the world record wave, and it was after the day where we have seen waves potentially twice the size of the world record, and we couldn't surf it, and it was the only time in 15 years that the size of these waves happened and there was no wind or barely any wind, so it would have been surfable if we were ready for it. So the next day was about half the size, but still bigger than the world records that I've done afterwards. And
but when you start on that wave and you see the shadow coming over you, like the size of the wave, do you get freaked out? Do you know right away, this is the biggest thing I've ever done? Or are you just focused on staying on the board and being safe?
The ocean becomes a mountain. And if we think about the dimension of it, it's when we see on the news in Florida, the houses are flying away. that's the start of the storms that then create the waves, those swells that I was just talked about. And they travel across the entire Atlantic. Sometimes the eye of the storm, or the storm area, is 1 or 2/3 of the upper Atlantic. That energy, that's the physical energy that's released, is what I'm surfing. So the dimension of it is, I don't think I can describe it or explain it, but it makes me feel very, very small, very insignificant, and it shows me how powerful and how big nature is, and how powerful the ocean is. But then also, I'm hunting those waves. I'm looking for very specific indicators which wave I want to surf, and I'm going for the biggest waves. So it's also very it's an empowering feeling as well. It's almost like I'd compare it to hunting. Like if you're going for it, like you're charging. So it has a very
In
opposite
the animal
feelings.
kingdom, you mean by hunting, right?
Yeah.
But you have no fear? I mean, obviously, if you are on this massive wave, can fear come into mind?
No,
Or you compartmentalize everything?
no, it's just doing it. There's no, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. It's subconscious. It's just doing.
Okay. And you told me when we met earlier, you were talking about how you have prepared yourself sort of mentally for every, let's say, tragic situation or bad situation that could happen in surfing. What do you mean by that?
I mean, there's a lot of risk to it. So my theory of dealing with risk is to know everything that can happen and prepare for it the best way possible. So that means, in my case, that I need to know exactly what can happen while surfing it, or if the wave catches me, and how to be prepared for it.
Can you give an example of like what could happen other than like, oh, I hit my head on the board? But I think you're talking about more serious things.
Yeah, I mean, just the most simple thing: you fall, or the wave catches you, and if it's a 20-meter high wave, you're 20 meters deep underwater in a second. So your eardrum could bust. You could injure your spine. You could break a rib. You could drown. So there's so many ways.
Have you ever broken a rib while surfing?
No, luckily never.
But would you know what to do because you kind of study the surroundings of that kind of event?
Yeah. I know I have at least once seen every single scenario that's possible medically.
Witnessed firsthand, you mean?
Witnessed either by video with the doctors that we're working with, because I developed the safety system in Nazaré, and my team and the organization I built are providing the safety for all the surfers, and I developed the program. So while developing it, I was confronted with every single scenario.
What prompted you to create this program? It's specific for Nazaré?
Yeah, it's specific for Nazaré, and we're now working on getting it to most of the big wave spots. What is unique, I think, with our sport is we're in nature, we're in an uncontrollable environment, and we need to control as much as we can. And the normal medical system doesn't know anything about it. So in Portugal, you have a very unsophisticated, in general, medical environment, and then especially the shoreline rescue system is not like Hawaii, where you have lifeguards and like military standard training.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's in Hawaii it's very advanced. In Portugal, it used to be a dude with one of those Baywatch buoys, standing on a beach. Literally, that's it.
No jet ski, nothing. Just like he's going to swim out and save you.
Why, he's not going to do anything.
Okay.
And then a beach which is a few kilometers long. The next average medical station, like most basic hospitals, like 20 minutes away. So if anything, not even like critical would happen to you, but something serious that needs medical attention, it would take a long time. And I realized that. I came from Hawaii, where I was living, and then looking at all the missing setup, I decided to invest in it. And yeah, it's been 12 years now developing the system, and we now officially have the fastest shoreline rescue system, faster than any military.
And is that because it's the jet ski and the team around who's saving the person or getting the person out of the water?
Yeah,
that's the actual team.
Yeah, it starts with the jet ski drivers the jet ski drivers and the communication, we call them spotters. So they're guys standing on the lighthouse or around on the cliff, and they are in contact with the jet skis with radios, and then they guide the jet skis to the surfer.
But they can't always. I mean, we've seen some videos where the spotters are there, but they can't always see either where the person's ended up in the whitewash. Or is that true? Or mostly they're found quickly?
Eventually, yes.
Eventually, okay.
But you only have 15 to maybe 18 seconds between waves. So if the person is down for a long time, for example, and the jet ski has 5 seconds left, of course he can't get to him. But yeah, the spotter is it starts with the spotter and the jet ski driver, and then I have multiple jet ski drivers, so I have 3 guys on jet skis, 1 to pull me into the wave, 2 to watch out and rescue in case something happens, plus a grabber. So if I or somebody else gets unconscious, that grabber can jump from the jet ski or help from the jet ski to pull somebody out. And then the most critical part is the shoreline, because once you get to the shoreline, you need to have immediate medical attention. If you're in the 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes type of situation. And so what we invented is basically almost like a operating table on wheels. With special force medical team, guys from the German Marines, and lifeguards that we trained to work on this platform. And the platform is attached to an off-road vehicle, and so when the jet skis land on the beach, the person is put on that platform, and if the doctors have to, they can operate on the table while it's moving.
And how has this been received by the community, the town, the surfing world? I mean, everybody's thrilled that you've introduced this then.
I mean, that's a long story, but I tried to bring the community together in 2020 after one of my really good friends almost died in a contest. And I realized that even on the days when there should be the most safety ever on the beach, it's not enough, or they're not sophisticated or not trained for this environment. And so I opened an association. I tried to bring everyone together, the local government, the surfers, the contest directors, and I did a 6 months safety development where we had a full-time medical team, lifeguards. We trained everyone, and we built part of the standard that we have now. And actually, I thought, this is the greatest thing ever. Everyone,
it's a no-brainer. You say,
absolute no-brainer. But what actually happened was that people didn't like it because I'm also their competitor, and then it gave them the feeling that I'm doing this to gain control. So of I don't know what, but that was the
because you used your own money, right, to fund this.
Yes, I think a lot of times in my life I'm misunderstood when I do things, and I have something. I do things which, for I think the majority of people, is not logic. I invest in the sport, and of course that rescue system frees my mind on the biggest days, and it enables me to perform better. But it does the same. It should do the same for everyone else, because it's not there's no priority system. So anyone that gets injured gets.
Oh, it's not like, okay, the priority is Sebastian, and then if we don't have to save him, we'll have a list.
No. It's for everyone, and it was done with the mayor and with the local government. So it actually was an official project. But yeah, I continued it after it wasn't received well. I continued it, and it was a lot of the shadow work that I do that I think I do from the heart, and for bettering the sport, and because I really care for our community.
When those waves come, and you're underwater and holding your breath, what goes through the mind of a surfer? I mean, you because I see their heads pop up, and then there's these other huge waves tumbling on top of them in the white water. What goes through your head, and what do you have to do when you're underwater?
Not much really. You can't do much because
You're just holding your breath.
yeah, you can't fight it. You can't swim anywhere. You can't. There's nothing you can do. All you can actually control is how much you panic or how much oxygen you spend. So I try to. I actually for a long time I had this happy place that I went to. So I went into like full Zen mode meditation, and sometimes like opening my eyes, I was almost getting blinded because I went into like when you're if you meditate for like 10 minutes and you open your eyes and you're like, okay, this is bright.
Yeah.
Like I had these kind of moments, but I was just down for 30 seconds or a bit more. Yeah, you need to be really, really in control of your mind. You cannot let the mind grab any negative thought or any, oh, I'm going to drown.
What's the longest you've ever been underwater or held in a position by waves like that?
The longest was in Hawaii. It was 4 waves. And it took about 1 minute and 40 seconds until I got back to the surface. That was very, very long.
Does it feel long?
Yeah.
Oh, it does feel okay.
Yeah, that felt like an eternity.
But what is it about the risk then that keeps you going? What is it, the mental state that gives you?
But I don't really look at the risk as a motivation or as like a factor why I do something. It's more why do I surf the biggest waves? Is because I love the sensation. I love the experience of being part of this crazy big force. It's so hard to explain it. It's part of the Atlantic is breaking, and I'm part of it. It's take the biggest tornado that you can find, and then tell a base jump or like a parachute guy, you can ride that, you can fly in that, you can use that energy to propel you and to glide around. That it's hard to describe, but to me, that's the draw for me. That to experience that energy and to feel that the power of the ocean.
But you grew up in Germany. Yeah. Where did the passion for the water, where did that come from? That would drive you at the age of 16 to leave your family and friends and go to Hawaii? I mean, it sounds crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if it is. I truly believe we all have an element. Mm-hmm. Every human has an element that comes natural to us. And mine always was water. There's a story that my mom always tells me, which is when I just learned how to walk, I walked myself to the edge of a swimming pool and I jumped in. And then my sister thought I was drowning, so she started screaming. And my dad ran, jumped in, got me, thought he was a hero for saving me. And then I started screaming at him, totally mad because I was diving. And he took me out of it, fast. And then he used to grab these little metal toy airplanes and throw them into the pool. And I couldn't swim, but I would dive, get them, and come to the edge of the pool and take them out. So I was always very comfortable in water.
And so what prompted the decision to move as a young teen to Hawaii?
So I experienced surfing for the first time when I was 9 years old in France. And I always had, my biggest passion was always adventuring and doing something with speed and water. So like, if I didn't have access to the water, I was skateboarding or riding my bike. I was chopping down trees for fun. Okay. I just love to be outside and doing physical things. And I started windsurfing because that's the only kind of surf sport that we could do. And then I was reading a surf magazine, and I read this article in the surf magazine that there was a school in Hawaii, and there was another guy from Germany that went there and then became a professional windsurfer and stayed in Hawaii. And for me, that was it. That was a no-brainer. I'm going to Hawaii. I'm doing the same thing like this guy, but I was 13 years old. And I decided at 13 years old, I'm moving to Hawaii.
And your family said?
Have fun. No, they said good luck. They obviously didn't believe that I was serious. And then when they figured out that I was serious because I wouldn't stop talking about it and, pestering them about it, they started to give me challenges like, oh, did you check how much the ticket is to fly there? Like how are you gonna do this? Where are you gonna stay? What are you gonna do? And I started working after school. I was fully dedicated to making this happen. And at 16, my mom said, okay, we believe you, and give it a try for a few months. And out of those few months became 10 years.
And you were taken in by a Hawaiian family.
Yeah.
Which changed your life.
It did, yeah. When I moved there, I was very quickly a professional windsurfer. It didn't take me a year to become like on World Cup level.
Oh.
And then I stayed there by myself, but then I saw the biggest wave break, which is called Peahi or Jaws. And by being so interested in that wave, I got introduced to Nelson Armitage Sr., who was the head of one of the biggest Hawaiian families, and a big wave surfer himself, coming from a place, Makaha, where big wave surfing basically was born. And he took me into his family at maybe 18 or 19 years old.
Which would have been extraordinary. I can't imagine they do that for everybody. There must have been something about you that...
Yeah, it's very, just culturally, Hawaii is occupied. It's still in an occupied state officially since 1892. And Nelson was he was the foreign minister of the reinstated Hawaiian government, which was an organization, or is an organization, that tries to get Hawaii back to being a sovereign nation. And hence the white people have taken a land, have taken a culture, have taken everything from them. It's natural that they wouldn't accept a white person coming to do their sport. But the culture of Hawaii, respect and sharing and community is deeply rooted in their culture, and they love to share their culture. If you are showing that you're respectful, if you're showing that you care for their values, that you care for them. And I think that was always I was always pure about it. I didn't do it for money. I didn't do it for attention or anything. I really loved doing this.
So for you, what did all of this, being part of this grand family and big family, aside from learning how to surf, what did you really learn that maybe actually kept you as an outsider from the rest of the surfing community?
I guess the values and my way of thinking that I'm born with really match the Hawaiian culture.
Being what?
For me, loyalty is one of the most important values we can have. Respect for each other, respect for the nature, respect for our bodies, respect for our minds, respect in general, adventure, and being in the elements.
If you look at the surf community, okay, so you want to become a professional surfer. How big is the surf community worldwide? Like, do you think that are really people out there surfing, competing all the time, chasing that dream?
So you have different types of surfing, different
big wave surfing,
and big wave surfing. I'd say maybe it definitely grew. When I started, I think there was maybe 30, 40.
That's it?
Surfers, yeah.
Wow.
On that level,
yeah.
Like on the top level. And it was very, very concentrated on a few spots in Hawaii, like Waimea Bay and Peahi, and then maybe Mavericks in California. But that was it. There was no big wave surfing in Europe. Nazare didn't exist.
Is there big money in surfing?
There is huge money in the industry. Like if you look at all the big surf brands like Quicksilver, Billabong, they were all in the billions. It all went downhill.
Why do you say that?
Well, all the industry went downhill. Lost a lot of money. Miscalculated. Expanded too quickly. Surfing as a sport is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. it just became part of the Olympics.
In the last Olympics, was that right?
Yeah. And just people wise, like how many people surf, not professionally or not like in competitions. It's a huge sport.
Because what I find funny is that I'm sure when people meet you, they're, they kind of make that, like, they bow to you kind of in fun and jest because you're like the world record holder for surfers. We have this crazy ideal of surfers in our minds of like this amazing life you must have because you just travel the world. It's all easy. It's all relaxed. You guys are all chill. You just surf, you're in the sun, you eat well, you all look healthy. Is that the reality of it?
I think it can be, and for a lot of people it is. Yeah, if you go, you go to Indonesia, you go to some of those places, that lifestyle and that definitely exists. I think
you're all bro and friendly.
Yeah, in certain places, yes. For my environment, no, because first there's only one biggest wave, so there's a huge competition for that. It takes a lot of money takes a lot of resources to get there and to do what we do. It's a fairly new sport, so there's not much regulation. There's no entity that governs the sport, so everyone is out there for themselves. It's a bit like the Wild West at the moment. And
well, even the way that they would measure the waves, like when you won for the 86-foot wave, and they would have these they were showing it on a screen how they measured like little houses or cars, and I'm thinking, that's how you measure like the biggest wave? How is that possible?
I'm asking myself the same question so many times. I don't know how it's. I don't know. And funny to this story is, so what they did is they would measure from my knee to my ankle, so basically my shin, and then they would say, okay, this is, I don't know, 40 something centimeters, let's say 50 centimeters, and then they would stack it on top of each other, like how many shins fit into this wave. But the problem is, where the wave ends on the top, but you don't know where the wave begins. And that is already an advanced measuring technology that they came up with, or system. Before, they used to have judges that we didn't know their names, we didn't know how many, we didn't know what criteria they were judging the size of the wave, and then they would give out
a score,
like an exact number though, like with centimeters. So we went forward a little bit with this system, but still, very amateur. And for some reason, I thought there was technology out there that would be easy to find to measure waves, and so I did a big research on with institutes and universities, and more in the ocean science world, and I couldn't find anything, and so I decided to build my own, because
I see a pattern here.
Yeah.
That you financed yourself.
I did, yeah. I spent, I think, half of my season budget that year, and we did build the drone. We had this big radar sensor under it, which was from an institute, and they would measure waves from like wind parks or like oil platforms, and it would just measure the waves going by, but not in motion. And so our idea was to fly that drone above the wave and measure from the top down. So we would have kind of like a 200-meter radius around the wave, and we would see the lowest part of the wave and the highest part of the wave, and then we'd have an exact scientific number to it. And
it worked?
It worked for about 10 seconds, and then it crashed. And this was 2019. This would take too long to tell the whole story, but 2018, the wave that I said in the beginning, that wave was never measured. It was in the finals of that award show, but it was never measured. And then a world record was given out to somebody else. But the internet had already decided that's the biggest wave. And so they put my wave to somebody else's name. So everyone was showing this wave, saying it's a new world record from this guy. And it was a big deal, and there's articles on Forbes, and like it was an international, it was a big sports deal how that could happen. And
I mean, 2019 isn't the beginning of internet. I mean, that's
no,
ridiculous that it could be that inaccurate.
yeah, but so that sparked the idea for me. Okay, we need to be independent from this old system, and that was my initial drive, was to create fairness in the sport. And then I picked it back up in 2021 when I started a big wave science project, and we built a similar drone system, but not with a radar, but with a lidar, so smaller and quicker learning. And in 2024, we measured the biggest wave ever recorded with a scientific measuring device in motion.
And what was the height of the wave?
That was 28.57 meters.
So is this now going to be used in competitions, or is it just something that you see that at least you know that it's correct for when you're surfing? What's going to happen with the drone?
So my initial idea was to create a standard and have Guinness World Records and the WSL take this on and use it for moving forward and develop it in a better way, deploy it to different big wave spots, and there's so much cool stuff you can do with the data, right? Like any sport lives off data nowadays. But what happened was it was a 2-year back and forth about it.
Oh yeah.
And what ended up happening is that the WSL resigned as a measuring entity for Guinness, and so it basically went back to
measuring your
ages.
shins.
No, even before, to the judges.
What?
Yeah. So I mean,
is that where it stands now?
That's where it stands now. But my gut feeling is they will not give out world records without having something else established, because that would be going so far backwards. It put a very bad look on Guinness.
But what is the resistance to using your drone?
I think there's a general, we're missing one strong entity that's willing to invest into the sport. The sport brings a lot of views. Like that wave that I'm talking about from 2018 has been seen a few billion times. So there's a lot of value behind it. But there's nobody that's harnessing that value.
Why?
And that's bringing everyone together.
Why is that? Why is there such a big hole there?
I don't know. Well,
you have an idea.
For me, I can't take this on yet because I'm an active athlete and I have all my projects as an athlete, so I don't have enough time for it. I would have the blueprint for it, but yeah, I think it takes somebody that's really in it, like understanding everything, and also on the outside to do all the rest that's necessary to build this.
Well, I want to ask you a couple of questions about your movie On the Wave, which just came out recently. And I saw the trailer. Congratulations, by the way. That must have been quite something. I saw you at the opening.
Thank you. Yeah.
Was it pretty cool to see yourself on a big screen, or was it kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it's... I think because I lived my life, I know all my story, right? And it's a fraction of that story is shown. What I really liked is the feedback of the people, and probably the most consistent feedback I got is how it inspired them to chase their dreams, and how the movie showed really like what it takes to chase your dreams, and that's pretty cool.
But you must have been approached by many people since your world record, and was there something about this project, or did they offer you a certain artistic control, or were they free to make the story as they wanted? What was it about this project specifically that interested you? And also, like, I know you've inspired other people by doing this. Was that the reason you wanted to do it?
It's actually much less than that. It was a friend of mine who started.
I'm overcomplicating things again.
Yeah, it was much more simple. It was a friend of mine who went to school with the producer, with Leo, and then I knew some athletes like Vladimir Klitschko and Jürgen Klopp and Tony that Leo made their portraits about their documentaries, and so he did the entire project, I was basically just being filmed. I didn't have to do anything. And he had, I wasn't really part. It's not my movie, you know. It's said it's my movie, but it's a portrait about me.
How is that then to see your life like that?
Interesting. I mean, I look at it as what does it do for the people viewing it? When the people watching it, they're important. My story should serve as something motivational and inspirational for people to go out there and do their thing.
So I'm going to read a couple quotes from the trailer because I wasn't sure if they were trying to create a narrative with the trailer that makes you seem like, you know, it wasn't just like conquering waves that made your career. There was a lot going on behind the scenes that you also had to deal with. So a couple of the quotes that really stood out for me were, okay, I left behind friends, I left behind family, I sacrificed everything. That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an interesting quote when we say we sacrificed everything because you're doing something almost selfish, really, because it's for yourself. Is it a sacrifice when you're pursuing something that really is for you?
Yeah, there's a saying is you pay a price for everything in life. So you do it, you pay a price. You don't do it, you pay a price. And I think there's in my life journey, my reasons for sacrificing or for paying were always because I really loved it. And yes, leaving my family, not having really like I was training and working when everyone else was partying and doing.
That'd be me, yes, having fun.
Yeah, having fun and not caring about things. I was thinking about my next season and gathering funds and doing media and preparing myself and I was already an adult when I was still a teenager. So yeah, that definitely is a price I paid. On the other side of that is what I have been able to experience and live, the people I met, the different cultures I got to really be part of, having those moments with my team and with my family. Like now looking at it, my mom was on the cliff on that day in 2018 when I surfed that wave.
Wow.
And there's this picture where she's like jumping, like of joy. I think, yeah, what's the price I would have paid for not doing it?
Mm-hmm.
A lifelong, maybe regret, or I should have. And I think always go for it. Always go for, I got recently I was asked a question is, why do I take so much risk, or what's the reason why I need to take so much risk? And it's actually one of the most asked questions by journalists is like, why do you take so much risk? Like, why are you doing this? And are you not scared, or how can you deal with your fear? And isn't it painful to deal with so much fear? Isn't it just like a crazy burden to deal with so much fear?
Really?
Yeah. And I'm thinking about it in a different way, because I'm thinking about it like this. To me, what's crazy and what I'm really scared about and what would be the most risk that I could think of taking in life is sitting at a desk, not knowing my body, not knowing what's going on in my body or in my mind, because I'm on repeat and on autopilot. And then one day I go to the doctor and he tells me, oh yeah, by the way, you have cancer. Or by the way, you have, I don't know, some organ doesn't work properly anymore because you didn't exercise, you didn't move enough, which is a very realistic risk. Probably a bigger, more realistic risk than me drowning on a wave. Even though everyone else will be like, no, that's a way higher risk, but probably not, because all my attention, all my focus is on mitigating the risk. So I look at it like that. I don't look at the risk as like it's dangerous and that's why you shouldn't do it.
What do you think journalists should be asking you? I mean, we tend to focus on oh, okay, well, you moved to Hawaii when you were 16 and, you've got the world record, or you were the first European to win a big wave award, or,
Yeah.
the common things and what's fear like, what's it like to crash in the water. But what do you wish we would ask you?
How do you believe in something that doesn't exist? How do you believe in something that everyone else is impossible? How do you motivate yourself for 3 decades now to follow your own dreams?
How do you?
How much time do we have?
But it's true. I mean, how do you? Because one of the things when I was talking about the quotes from the trailer, is that clearly there's two things that really stood out for me. One is that you're an outsider of the whole surf community. Even though you win awards and you're doing well and you're so accomplished,
Yeah.
it seems like you're still on the out of it, and that kind of surprised me. And maybe it's not an inclusive sport, but the thing that really got me was when you won your first XX Big Wave Award in 2010,
Mm-hmm.
and when they announced your name, they said Sebastian something or other. And then in the trailer, it says you got punted back to Europe after that. But the fact that you've won this outstanding award as the first European, right, to win the award, and they can't even or try to pronounce your last name. For me,
Oh, you have to watch the movie. That's the least. That's
but that's
the
what I'm
least
saying.
bad thing that they said.
Yeah, no. So, but
Yeah.
those are things that, to me, and then you're punted back to Europe. Those are the words that are used in the trailer. So, how do you stay motivated when you're obviously getting kicked down within your own community of surfers?
Yeah, so there's different communities within surfing. So what happened there is, and
Don't give away the movie.
yeah, I'm not giving it away, but it's actually way more dramatic than that. That was the beginning of it. No, I was embraced by the real surfing community, the real native Hawaiian community, which is where surfing originates from. And there's this commercial community, or let's call it there's the native Hawaiians, and then there's the white guys that took surfing, and they're now, we see them in advertisements and we see them in the competitions because white people want to see white people.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege of learning from people like Dane Ke Aloha. His last name has Aloha in it. So, and he would have been the first, and I think probably maybe there was one, but I'm not sure. But he would have been the first Hawaiian world champion on the surfing tour, and they didn't give him the world title because he ended up competing in the most prestigious surfing competition in Hawaii, which existed before all the other competitions came and the world tour came. So it had a lot more significance than just competing in the world tour. And the world tour said, we don't want anyone to compete in these events, and whoever competes is disqualified from the last event for the tour. So he could have said no to that event and just surf in a world tour event, become world champion, but he decided to surf the event because culturally that's important. And he's one of the most important figures in surfing, but you don't see movies about him, and you don't see him on the posters, and you don't see him being used for advertisement or anything in our surfing world. So I had the privilege of meeting people like this, being mentored by people like this. So my feeling of where I belong is with them. And this might be very like, I'm white, blonde, and from the other side of the world, but I have a Hawaiian family. If I go to Hawaii, I'm on all the islands. I know people that embrace me like family. That to me is important.
But did that then prevent you from being part of that white dude community then?
It did, because the white, let's call it the white dude community. That's actually a very good one. They have these, first of all, they're really scared. They're very narrow-minded, and they're very scared of any change or anything that comes from the outside. My approach to the sport was completely different than than theirs. I train like downhill skiers. My training system comes from Austria, really. And I was taught by native Hawaiians where the white dudes, they can't hang with them. They're not accepted with them, and they're not embraced by them. So I think that was the combination of me figuring out how to do their sport better than them. I wasn't scared. I wasn't, it took me a few years to be on a level that it took others more than a decade. So coming from the outside, being accepted with the people that they're kind of afraid of and they're uncomfortable with, but where their sport is coming from. And then all of a sudden being in competition and being on top in the competition. That was, I think, the reason why they acted in this way. But the aftermath of it is what puzzled me, really, which was that when I then came back to Europe, I was a champ, right? I was the first world champion. So naturally in Germany and Austria, I was celebrated. In media, I was on all the talk shows, everyone wrote articles about me. But I could not get one commercial door open. I couldn't get my foot into any doors
You're
with
kidding me.
any of the brands. Was like
No sponsorship.
Zero. And that was because of what they said during that award show. And that showed me how.
Okay, wait. Can you give just a sentence or a couple of words about what was said that would provoke that kind of reaction that would tell sponsors to stay away from you? What could possibly be said? It's an award show that you've won something.
Yeah, I mean, it would be giving away the movie.
Okay,
but also,
what did you feel at that moment, though, Sebastian? This is supposed to be like a great award for you, a great night for you. I'm presuming it's at night. I don't know. Maybe it's during the day, but it's supposed to be a moment for you, an accomplishment, and you're getting trashed, and you feel what at the time?
Well, during the award show, my lucky, the lucky thing was my table and I didn't hear what was said.
Okay.
Because we just heard Sebastian, and then everyone jumped up and everyone was screaming. And if we had heard what was said, it would have been
a fight,
really, really bad. Yeah,
yeah,
most definitely. And that it used to be a big night. It was 3,000 people at the award show. It was live streamed, so that really would have put me in a very, really, really, really bad image.
But even so, the aftermath of that mentally, how did you then keep your motivation and stay focused for what was important to you and your loyalty and the values that you talk about?
I don't need the outside energy. I can run on my own energy for a long time. And I think what I've done back then and what I mean, continuously, when I was 13 and I told my parents and my best friends, I'm going to Hawaii, and they were all laughing at me and I was dead serious. I had to run on my own energy, and I had to believe in myself and in what I'm doing so much that I can get up every day and work really hard every day until it becomes reality. And no difference there. I was back in Germany then. I was classified as a professional athlete. So that was another thing, which was I was on a tourist visa
in Hawaii. Yeah.
So in America, so I couldn't get back into the States because now I was classified as a professional athlete, as a world champion. I had zero money. I even owed money because I did a production from that biggest day.
Mm-hmm.
And childhood friends of mine who were in the nightclub security business and Muay Thai fighting, boxing, told me, hey, just work with us, stay here, train, figure it out. And so in some sense, I had my other community. Again, people with strong values, people with a very strong sense of community, and sports people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sport in general is such a a positive mentor, teacher, caretaker of us humans. So then I started working as a first in clubs with doing security and being like, of course, really angry and really like frustrated with the situation. I started training a lot of Muay Thai and doing Muay Thai fights, which helped me to have a release of my anger, but also it made me work really hard and really like I figured out how to do media, figured out, okay, they don't open the doors, the sponsors don't open the doors, but how does this work? And where is my space? And so one thing that I realized is I'll never fit in the surfing community, hence in the surfing or in the commercial surfing community. So, but I'm also not like them. So where do I fit? And, it ended up being, some of the biggest brands in the world that I'm partnered with, which is much bigger and much better than surfing brands. And also, I think the surfing, that lifestyle that you said about we're all tan and we'll hang out and we're all buddies and, it's about the next wave and shaka. That would have never, ever if I had been part of that, I would have become that. And surfing the biggest wave in the world, you can't do that with that type of lifestyle and that type of mindset. It takes different things.
Well, I couldn't let the opportunity pass us by to talk about the 100-foot wave, which I just watched, I think last month. Of course, again, I'm fascinated by the wave, so I'm watching the show. Didn't even understand what it was about. I think there's 3 seasons with Gareth McNamara, and he's the main character, and he talks about the growth of Nazare and things like that. And it's quite a fascinating, you really get hooked because, you know, at the beginning, it's sort of this developing big wave community, and then it's their lives. And yeah, they're the guys that are, okay, the weather's changing, like we're getting on a plane and go here. And Cody's in it. And you know, he's this very sympathetic character. He doesn't seem to get a break, you know, but he's like there and he's trying. Were you approached to be in that show? I mean, you had the biggest wave ever measured, so.
I decided not to be part of it. So I arrived in Nazarene shortly after Garrett. And Garrett got invited to, so the rise of Nazarene, in very short, was a tourism development project by 2 city councils who knew that they had this wave, and they've seen pictures and videos of Hawaii and of California, and they saw big waves get attention. But big wave surfing as a sport wasn't in Europe yet. So in 2010, when I became the world champion for the first time, I was European, but I surfed in Hawaii. So and in Europe, there was nobody with the skills or even with the understanding that you could surf those waves. I had never heard of Nazare before 2011. And so these city councils, they put together a project. And I didn't have a webpage. I didn't have an email address. Garrett did. Laird Hamilton didn't answer. So they ended up inviting Garrett, and he showed up and he surfed the wave for the first time, and opened the wave, the wave to the world, really. Also to me, because I was in Ireland at that time, and I saw a picture on Facebook, a sunny wave, you know. It was freezing cold in Ireland, and we're miserable. So I said to my friend Tom, who was surfing with at the time, let's pack up, let's go drive down to Portugal and see what this is about. And
that's really how it works for the life of surfers?
Not anymore.
Okay.
But back then, yeah.
Okay.
Back then it was just an old VW van.
But this is exactly what I'm saying. It's what I have in my head of these surfer dudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go down to Nazare?
We went down, and then and I knew Garrett for a long time because my family, my Hawaiian family.
He's from Hawaii, yeah.
He
moved to Hawaii, excuse me,
yeah. And some of the people that helped him were part of that family, or cousins of some of my like brothers, and so I knew him, and I knew how he was, but it was really funny meeting him in Nazaré. He was like, very scared because there was nobody in Europe and that could surf this wave. He could surf it really well. He's a really good surfer. And so I showed up, and he realized immediately, oh, competition has arrived. And it was about the world record. It was about establishing, a name for the place, but also if the place, gets attention, you as a surfer get attention. And it was the first time that there was an actual opportunity of really making it big as a big wave surfer. And so this sparked kind of this animosity, and then also an animosity from the city, or from the people involved from the city. One of the city councils now is one of my really, really good friends. I appreciate him so much. And he told me this story that they had to stop us from surfing on one of the days that Garrett wasn't around, and there was beautiful, gigantic waves. So what ended up happening is the marine police confiscated our jet ski for 3 days until the waves were gone again, and then released it on some whatever they found. That's how it was. Like, that's how tough the competition was.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So when they approached you about being in the show, it wasn't for you then?
No, George Leal, who is one of my best friends, who shot all the footage for the city and for
it was
for
amazing.
Garrett's project. Yeah,
it was amazing.
He ended up becoming my filmmaker. And we talked about it, and we decided, no, my story is a different story than what they're telling. And Garrett being the host of it, he'd never have the ability of interacting with me,
There's
in a
no
way
room
that
in
makes
his world
sense.
for you.
Yeah. So
what were you promised though? Like, was it a paid gig? Were they like, hey, come on, and you make this much money off royalties, or like, was it just be on the show for the sake of being on the show?
What you mean, for the HBO show?
Yeah.
I can speak for the other people. I can't speak for what they offer me, but I think everyone is participating in the hopes of having a platform, not for getting paid.
Right. The old trick. The old trick. But, this is what I find really fascinating about you. When we met and had coffee a couple of weeks ago and just now, you're very different because you're dedicated, and obviously there's something about the unknown that you experience that drives you to keep going. And yet you have all these very sort of business ideas, or you're not afraid to speak your mind. You're not afraid to throw an idea out there, and if people don't join, okay, well, this is what I'm doing. I guess the question is, what next for you? Because, I mean, surfing is continuing. You're 40, or keep surfing, and you've got your drones and you've got your safety projects. What do you see for yourself that really reflects the person that you are with all these experiences together now? What's the future for you?
So, I mean, there's a few different lanes that I'm walking on. One is definitely to push what is possible in big wave surfing, and in Nazaré, I've kind of hit the ceiling. We now have 15 years of data, of experience, of being there, and we had one day in 15 years where the waves were bigger than my world records, significantly bigger, in 2018. The story I told in the beginning. So it's kind of waiting for another maybe 10 years, 5 years, 15 years. I don't know how long it takes for that day to come back, if it ever comes back. Is not really what I'm motivated about. And also starting this whole science and understanding waves, first for measuring the waves, but then realizing there's no data of these waves. So I started digging into it more and started talking to some smart people out of the ocean science world, and I ended up meeting Ian Hendy, who's he's a researcher on the Portsmouth University, And he told me, hey, there's a lot of waves that you guys probably haven't surfed yet or haven't even seen yet. And so just knowing the story of Nazaré, where you have an international airport, you have a highway, you have basically a stadium, a natural stadium looking at the wave, and still nobody has ever known about it. No big wave surfer has known about it before somebody surfed it. So imagine how many of these places must be out there in the ocean, open ocean, or remote coastlines, or places where people maybe are not, so much into surfing. And that really started the idea for me to go out there and to try and find these waves and to research and actually do wave science.
So this is part of your future.
Definitely.
Do you notice weather patterns, or especially in Nazaré, over the last few years, have things changed?
Yeah, things have changed, definitely. I recently spoke to some of the fishermen in the harbor about it, and we all agreed that for probably the last 4 years, things started to change, and they're now getting more and more and more rapidly different. So it started with high or low pressure systems staying longer. There's the Azorian high, for example, which prevented waves to come down to Nazaré for 2 seasons almost. And then the opposite happened, which is a lot of storms come with a shorter distance of traveling. The wave or the weather prediction has become horrible. It's almost impossible now to really predict waves like we used to. Whether that's NOAA being shut down for public use or other factors, but I'm basically guessing on the forecasting these days. And recently we had, 2 months ago, we had the highest winds ever recorded in Portugal, which was, I think, hurricane strength 4 or something, like very, very strong, 200 kilometers an hour wind, which never happened before. A lot of flooding, a lot more rain. It definitely changed.
If you start exploring the waves scientifically, do you think that it will help also understand these conditions better?
I hope so. I mean, what my drive behind this is, there's something about the energy of waves that touches me. It touches millions of people. I have maybe there's a little detour to come back to the point, but my sister and I started.
Oh, thank you, because I was just about to talk to you about your foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, we started a youth organization 8 years ago in Germany, which was one of the first organizations in Europe to do surf therapy. And there's something about waves that help kids and also veterans. There was a lot of studies done on veterans in America with post-traumatic problems, and it's such good results. Like, it only takes a few days for a brain to rewire itself, and for traumas to either get better, open up, or even resolve themselves. And I did supported a study with a German university, Freiburg University, on kids with depression of loneliness after COVID, and we used surfing as their therapy form, and it was the most efficient form of therapy they'd ever done.
Where were they surfing, if I can ask? Sorry.
So we have a 10 months. So we're based in Berlin, and there's another component to it, which is they don't believe, because some of them, never have been to the city center. Some of them came, as refugees. Others grew up without their parents, but most of them don't know how to swim. More than 50%, more than 80% have never been to the beach. So we tell them, hey, in 10 months from now, you'll be on a surfboard, and you'll be riding a wave. And they basically tell us off, like, literally.
The young teenagers these days, right?
Yeah. And then we teach them how to surf, how to swim. We teach them all the skills they need to eventually be on a surfboard. And then they go either to Portugal or to Sylt in a 1-week surf camp. And so far, except one kid, every single kid stood up on a surfboard. And the change that they go through in those 10 months, believing in themselves, growing as a group. I've had a kid who had autism because he experienced horrible things as a child, locked himself in. He ended up losing that autism, that form of like closeness, within the first 2 hours of surfing. And that's really powerful, but we don't really understand what the energy of the waves does. And that's a detour. But if we think about the planet, and if we think about energy, and I'm not just saying energy for keeping the lights on, but in general, energy in the world, the ocean is the place that has the most movement. The mountains don't move. The wind is, water is 1,000 times more dense than the wind. So it is the most powerful element on our planet with the most powerful energy. Yet we don't understand it. And that's my personal ambition to figure out why I like it, why other people can benefit from it so much, but then also how can we use it for, to benefit the planet.
Your passion for the ocean and the environment, is that one of the reasons that you are participating in the Green Shift Festival with the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation? They're doing a night of committed athletes, inspiring stories to change the rules of the game, and you'll be closing that evening with a speech. Is there a special connection for you to be a part of that dialogue, and also because it is the Prince Albert of Monaco II Foundation?
Yeah, I think, to me, getting people involved in thinking about it and acting about it, that's how it starts. I'm the perfect example, I think, for this. If somebody raises the finger and tells me this is how it is, and you cannot do this, you cannot do that. If I'm being lectured about something, I don't listen.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and I think this probably resonates for most of young people, and also the doomsday talks, the creating fear about the destruction of the planet or what could happen, what will happen. I think that's the wrong way of getting people involved. The right way is to create something that people are interested in. People that whether it's an adventure, whether it's an activity, whether it's a topic, and lead to the positive things you can do about something negative. Not, oh, hey, we're all gonna die and this is all gonna be really, really bad. No, it will be bad, but this is how we're gonna tackle this. And the Green Shift Festival is one of those gatherings where there's an opportunity to create hope.
I totally agree with you. That's why I love this festival, and I'm hoping that the Monaco community understands it a bit more this year. That there's so much. They use art as a much more creative way in creating hope rather than just talking about statistics. But one of the things I loved was that I happened to be rowing last summer early one morning, and I looked out and I saw this guy on a foil board. Is that the right word? A foil board? Poilo Gioni. And so we just kept crossing each other every morning because it was hot and he'd be out on the surfboard. And then he told me all about Sebastian, and Sebastian lives in Monaco. When did you move to Monaco?
I moved to Monaco 3 years ago.
And do you actually use the foil board here? Like, do you go surfing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm most days with Paolo. And we started doing these sunrise runs, going down to Menton. And yeah, it's such a beautiful experience when the water is sheet glass and the sun's just coming up.
That big red ball is coming up from the water. How far can the foil board go? It's electric?
Yeah, it's an e-foil, so it has a battery, and it goes for, I think the new generation ones go for almost 2 hours, so you can go quite far.
And is it something that the Yacht Club uses? Or is it just like you two kind of? Because I see him take people out.
Yeah, I think the Yacht Club does he teaches people to do it.
Yeah, he keeps saying try it. I'm like,
yeah, you should.
What made you choose Monaco as a home?
That's kind of a random story, but I used to come here for the Laureus Awards.
The sports awards.
Yeah, and I'm an ambassador for Laureus, so I used to be part of the sports awards for many years, and it always happened at the end of the season. My big wave seasons are like in February, and so for some reason I developed this this feeling in Monaco that it's like it kind of gives me a lightness,
Mm-hmm.
like a place where there's no big waves. There's there's good weather. There's a healthy community. A lot of activities to do. I do a lot of like biking and training, and then I was looking so I was living in Austria and in Portugal, and
Okay.
Austria is so far removed from any water and any ocean, and I wanted to get a place closer to Portugal, but also close enough to Germany and to to my home, to my family, and at some point I was like, hey, I'm gonna look at Monaco, and I went here for a week to say, okay, how does it feel if there's no event and I'm not just staying for a couple of days, and I loved it, and then I told all my people, I'm moving to Monaco, and I was like, what? How are you gonna do that? And then actually after I started to realize how much connection there is to what I'm doing, and how much history and heritage there is coming from Monaco about ocean exploration, about conservation, everything that Prince Albert is doing, all the institutions that are here. I went into the first. I still remember when the first time I went into the Ocean Museum.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then learning about Jacques Cousteau, learning about his history, and how this place is connected to it. And so I learn more and more and more as time goes on. But I really feel at home here, and I think it gives me this really healthy. It's a really healthy place for slowing down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And being able, by slowing down, to look at the future.
So, any surf clubs that you're going to start here? Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah, I mean, there's more and more people now joining on the e-foils, and I see them all around the coastline actually. So I hope there's more people joining. And
all I want to say to anybody who's listening that does an e-foil, just do pay some notice when you're going close to the coastline, because there's lots of open water swimmers. And some of the guys are just zinging in and out, even when they have the boys out for the summer pool lines. And I think people just need to be safe in the water.
100%. Comes back to respect.
Well, thank you so much, Sebastian, for coming on Monaco Info, the podcast. I could talk to you forever.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.